Dear participants, my name is Alberto Medina. I'm a project associate at the Office of the Managing Director of the Directorate of Digitalization, Technology and Agribusiness at UNIDO, and I will be moderating this session today. Export market analysis is an essential step for companies aiming to sell their products overseas. An export strategy should carefully consider the demand of your company's products and review and assess the target market, segmentation, and potential market channels. This information will maximize your company's exporting efforts, cost and time efficient. Today's webinar will present a three-step approach to guide the development of your market analysis and discuss critical steps of market research. It will also provide you with the existing market information tools and explore concrete examples of market analysis to the European Union market. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome our first distinguished speaker, Dr. Alvaro Massinga, President of the Chamber of Commerce of Mozambique. Dr. Massinga has more than 30 years of business experience in the education, tourism, and service sectors. He's the former Vice President of the Confederation of Economic Associations of Mozambique, CTA, and the Mozambique Industrial Association Vice President. Without further ado, we would like to invite Dr. Alvaro Massinga to provide his opening remarks to this webinar. Dr. Massinga, the floor is yours.
Bom dia a todos. Excelentíssimo Sr. Alberto Medina, excelentíssimo Dr. Wolfgang Weger, excelentíssima Sra. Úrsula Paz, caros participantes, minhas senhoras e meus senhores. Gostaria de iniciar com duas palavras de gratidão. Primeiro, ao Dr. Wolfgang Weger, que, na qualidade de orador principal deste evento e especialista internacional em matérias das pequenas e médias empresas, se predispôs a emprestar do seu saber para elucidarmos sobre um aspecto bastante crucial para o desenvolvimento das nossas atividades, nomeadamente a pesquisa de mercado de exportação. É de todos nós sabido que, no presente contexto do mercado global, e mais concretamente da abertura do mercado com a criação da Zona de Comércio Livre do continente africano, nenhuma economia pode sobreviver de per si. E a pesquisa e colocação dos produtos das nossas empresas nos mercados é a fórmula mais adequada de se assegurar a sobrevivência e prosperidade dos nossos negócios e, consequentemente, a competitividade das nossas economias. Permita-me, pois, dirigir palavras de apreciação e de boas-vindas ao Dr. Wolfgang e expressar a nossa inteira disponibilidade de interagir para o sucesso deste webinar. Em segundo lugar, agradeço a parceria que promove, idealizou para a realização deste webinar, cujo tema, conforme acabo de referir, é de vital importância para as nossas empresas e os contributos que prestam para a nossa economia como nação e como aldeia global. Um dos pilares que são a nossa aposta neste mandato é a facilitação do acesso aos mercados para os nossos associados, através do estabelecimento das necessárias ligações e parcerias empresariais dentro e fora do país, como forma de potenciar a competitividade empresarial. Deste pilar, a garantia de melhores ligações entre os centros de produção e os grandes centros de consumo é de capital importância e é nossa crença que não basta apenas produzir. É necessário fazê-lo com a necessária eficiência, garantia de qualidade e conhecimento profundo das necessidades do mercado. Por outras palavras, para além do simples produzir, devemos saber como o fazemos, como é desejado o nosso produto e quem deve ser o principal destinatário da nossa produção. É aqui onde deve-se aliar as melhores práticas de produção e o conhecimento do mercado. Minhas senhoras e meus senhores, as pequenas e médias empresas moçambicanas têm um grande potencial num país com abundantes recursos ainda por explorar. É maior a necessidade de se empoderar o nosso empresariado com os melhores conhecimentos para se melhorar também o aproveitamento e partilha das riquezas nacionais, desde as marinhas, fluviais e acústicas, os minerais preciosos como rubis, diamantes, grafite e ouro, as ricas e extensas terras aráveis adequadas à produção de alimentos e diversos derivados, até as diversas commodities de elevado valor internacional, como as areias pesadas, carvão, petróleo, gás, etc. A recente admissão de Moçambique ao processo de Kimberley, que regula o acesso ao comércio mundial de diamantes, é uma oportunidade que, a par das iniciativas como o AGOA e as facilidades do acesso ao mercado europeu e a Zona Livre de Comércio em África, desafiam as nossas empresas a melhorar as suas técnicas de produção e garantir a certificação dos seus produtos de forma a competirem em igualdade de circunstâncias no mercado global. Entretanto, não basta ouvir falar apenas destes mercados. É necessário conhecê-los e estabelecer as necessárias ligações, descobrindo quem são os respectivos pontos focais e quais são as regras de acesso a esses mercados. É, em parte, este conhecimento que nos vai ser transmitido pelo Dr. Wolfgang e em torno do qual somos convidados a interagir. Auguramos que esta seja uma oportunidade da qual saímos mais fortalecidos e equipados para o melhor desenvolvimento dos nossos negócios. Do mesmo modo, e a par deste webinar e daquilo que vai produzir, convidamos a todos a participar ativamente e a enriquecer os conteúdos aqui a serem abordados com a sua experiência, dúvidas e abordagens do potencial que as suas empresas têm. Moçambique não deve e não tem como ser uma ilha neste mercado global. As nossas empresas e produtos devem abraçar a esta e outras oportunidades que se abrem a visibilidade e a visibilidade das suas marcas no mercado das exportações. Temos fé na capacidade dos moçambicanos de se afirmarem no mercado global com o seu potencial e comprometimento ao trabalho. Esta é uma das oportunidades que temos para alargarmos a nossa visão sobre o mercado de exportações e abracemo-la. Com estas palavras, declaro aberto este webinar sobre como implementar uma pesquisa no mercado de exportações. Abrangente, ativa e ética, o nosso muito obrigado.
Thank you very much, Dr. Massinga, for your opening remarks and for highlighting the challenge of that many companies in Mozambique are confronted with when exporting to the European Union, to highlighting also the importance of the business sector for economic prosperity of the country. Thank you very much. Dear attendees, now I would like to call upon our next speaker, Mr. Wolfgang Wiegel, who is an international expert on SMEs upgrading and will guide us through the steps for conducting a successful market expert research. For more than 25 years, Mr. Wiegel has worked worldwide in bilateral technical cooperation projects. During his professional career, he worked in EU-based industrial and consulting firms. His main areas of specialization are SMEs upgrading and internationalization, export development, industry strategy development. However, before moving to the next section, I would like to remind all attendees that live interpretation is available. You can select the language of your preference using the interpretation icon at the bottom of your screen. For your information, we will record this session and we will make it later available on our Promove Comercio website, together with a copy of the slides that will be presented today. So without further ado, I would like to welcome now Mr. Wolfgang Wiegel. Wolfgang, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be around and I call out from Germany, so 12,000 kilometers straight north in the middle of a snowy weather. Everything is white out there, even though I'd prefer to be in your area where it's a bit more sunny. because that's definitely more enjoyable. But we are not talking about snow and winter. We are talking about export today. And I'd like to share with you in the next 1 hour, 1.5 hours, a number of issues which are crucial for our export concern. In the simplest terms, exports are the sale of goods or services to a country other than yours. And there are 195 countries in the world, 27 in the European Union. And today we are specifically looking into the European Union opportunities. Many countries provide favorable terms of trade, such as the EPA, as you know, the Economic Partnership Agreement. In the moment, EU is implementing 7 EPAs with 32 partners, 14 of them in Africa, while with the agenda of trade, service, investments, and so on. On the other hand, the EU, of course, has additional trade agreements with competing countries, competing in terms of products, such as, for example, in Asia, Vietnam. Vietnam is one of the main trading partners in the world for cashew nuts, for example. The Vietnam EU treaties, free trade agreement started in 2019, eliminated 99% of all tariffs. Why do I say that? Because it means competition, and competition means readiness to be better than others in the market, to be very well prepared in order to match these very high competitive global world in specific products. The module market research deals with finding information suitable to help you to make decisions about an export market. But before you commit yourself and your company to the complexities and costs inherent in exporting, it is essential that you undertake some degree of research and, based on the research, analysis. Furthermore, there is a very strong need, and I think maybe some of you have participated in one of the earlier events where we talked about internal internationalization and export readiness. So you, as a company, an exporting company, you will have to look into your own competitiveness, your own internal readiness to export. We will talk about this in a few words as well. Well, then let's start and share the presentation. Before we go on, I would like to start a first poll. You know, we have the mobile phones available, and all of you have, and we will just ask you a few questions. Now, Alberto, the number 1, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, Wolfgang. Let me launch the poll.
Mm-hmm.
So I see participants now should be able to see the poll. This information will help us to understand and to tailor also the next steps, the next phases of this webinar. Is to understand if you have participated in the previous webinars that we have organized. And yes, with this, we will try to avoid repetition, of course, to the extent possible, or to go deeper into some details that we haven't touched upon yet. I see we're just giving a little bit more time, Wolfgang, to the participants to answer the questions. We've seen that it's participation is quite good now, so we will stop the poll and share the results. So, Wolfgang, you can see the results?
Right. Well, interesting to see, ladies and gentlemen, you have been part of some of the earlier webinars, and as my colleague just rightly mentioned, there are 2 aspects: avoiding too many repetitions, but even more important, probably putting some specific effort on issues which are crucial for your export endeavors and readiness. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Stop sharing now.
Right. Export market assessment and analysis. I want to add to the analysis, I want to add assessment. First we assess and then we analyze. So we want to analyze at the end which target markets, which segmentation, which market channel you're going to aim for, which products basically are you going to sell. I mean, of course, you do have your own product already, but we want to make sure that the type and process stage of your product is received in the best possible way in terms of quality of product type and prices and so on and so forth. And of course, which client value are you able to provide to the market? This is almost the most crucial issue. So you have basically your products, they are demanded in EU markets. You decide, I want to export to the EU because everybody tells me there is a huge market. Yes, it is. For food products, the largest importer in the world. 27 EU countries. Well, the understanding of the market in the EU existing is certainly not enough. So we will have to go into some analysis and assessment. We have checklists. I will present you a few, and you will find them in the internet as well if you want to go more into details, because we are not talking about rocket science. We are talking about a process and a systematic approach, which everyone can do in the same way. It's just a question of investing time and in some instance as well, a little bit money. There is a checklist of export market analysis. There is a checklist for market scanning. What comes first? Scanning or analysis? Well, scanning is the very first stage to say, because if you're not yet decided, like for example, going to the EU market, the club of the 27, which have a very similar approach, I'd say similar, but not exactly the same, but in certain basic conditions, yes. If you export to other countries, international countries, you may want to scan. And I tell you what I talk about in a moment. Well, the second question, of course, will be which EU country I'm aiming for. Well, our market assessment should provide you some answers. You have to have some reasons for choosing the specific country. You want to have some benchmarks on which you base your decision taking. You want to find out about market segmentation. You need to understand your operational marketing input in terms of what is needed for client communication, what is needed for costing and pricing. I mean, all these issues you need to consider when you plan your operational marketing. You have to think about the market channels and the pricing based on the market channels. So I put the pricing least because the pricing is something which really depends on the type of clients you are aiming for. On the other hand, it's about the products and the very big one, the client satisfaction and value addition. Well, this is more or less the rocket science, and you can see not really complicated. The complex issue is really related to knowing how to approach the assessment and the analysis. Let's talk about it now. Well, here you see something which you may consider, maybe, well, what does it have to do with marketing assessment and analysis? Well, the first issue you need to find out is the market segmentation. You need to find out what are the specific criteria for segmenting a specific EU target market before you go into your market positioning. And I say this very clearly, because in many discussions around the world with companies, I find out that many companies just jump into this kind of the third level activity, to say, they go into communication issues. They start to promote. They start to develop specific positionings for each for target segments, but they don't even know their specific target segments. So it's more general. It's an open issue, and it's not very focused. And I believe you as an exporter need to be focused as much as possible in order not to lose too much momentum and spend money which is probably not exactly in the right direction. So you start with segmentation. This is, for example, ITC. ITC, International Trade Center in Geneva, provides fantastic market analysis tools. I'm going to show you some that helps you to do a market segmentation. The second level, the market targeting and differentiation. So you want to develop segment attractiveness issues. How can I satisfy my client best, and target segments. This is going to be implemented, for example, through our business model canvas. I'm not going into detail here because this was the last session, and the last session dealt with two sessions actually with the canvas and the business model. And the third level is our export marketing strategy: product, price, place, promotion. Very classic, 20 years old already. Right. Now, 3 issues: market screening, market research, market monitoring. These are the 3 steps you have to consider. Who is responsible in your company? You have to have someone who is responsible, who actually has the mandate to go into that issue, because it's a strategic consideration. Decisions you take here are crucial for your company in the future, or for results or for losses. I mean, could be gain and losses. So the right decisions are important. My concern would be having someone who is specifically responsible in the company if the company is large enough. If it's a very small company, you as the owner would probably have to take this up by your own. But well, you as an owner leading the overall company and not having many managers in place, you will be quickly overloaded with all your assigned responsibilities. So having someone would be ideal. In a larger company, it's an export marketing department with 1, 2, or 3 people, and some trained marketeers who have an idea of what is about export, who are able to speak English. That's important, at least English. Well, another way is to contract external market research consultants. Could be a national BDS provider in the country, or someone international. If it comes to very specific issues. Well, these are at least options. Now, once you have these people or these connections in place, there are many resources available. For example, you get a regular market feedback from importers and trade partners, or from sales staff overseas. The discussion and the joint talking about the export-import concerns with the importer is important. And they freely provide information because it's their own very specific interest to be very much in line with what you have to offer. They want to tell you what is needed, what kind of packaging, what kind of labeling, the standards. They try to support you, and you have to follow the lead. Well, another one is of course the internet research and the export help websites. That is something we are aiming for today in our webinar. The same as the regular market presence and trade fairs. I will talk a little bit about this as well. There are sector institutions in the target countries, in your country, like the chamber, like other entities who can provide input services, and there are BDS providers and networking platforms. We are also in our project considering to support those in the next 2 years. Networking platforms, exchange of ideas, of information, of experiences. between the sector companies. And there are, of course, the international chambers, the importers' websites, and the business-to-business sales platforms. So this is a selection of what you have available. You just have to take it up and make a plan how to approach these. Well, let's have a quick talk about market screening. Well, you can see here, selection process, phasing out countries and focusing. Again, an observation from my side in many countries, people usually start from this side, and there's coming more, but I tell you, you will see what happens here. The first level is, for example, here, general framework conditions. You start screening a country, and I must now clearly say this is not specifically meant towards Europe. This is European countries don't have these issues here. Like, for example, specific legal restrictions, political conditions you want to check, and the trade agreements is also very specific. The EPA is existing. Country creditworthiness. I think most of the European countries are at a good level. Monetary risk, the same. You are basically most of the countries, many of the countries dealing in euros, besides a few which are in their own currencies, and the barriers, But if you go to other countries, international, first of all, find out about these issues, find out specific answers and put them in a table. Say, my country A to Z, 3 countries, for example, these are the issues. Are they putting a specific restriction to my specific concern? Yes or no? If it's yes, then select, say, well, I go to the next level. The next level would be the export marketing conditions. What is the price and quality level of the national industry? The national industry is also a sign, If the level is very high, you might be able to get a better price for your raw material. If the competitive situation is very important, But which are the main countries importing into the country for this the specific product? What are your sales options? What is the market potential? What kind of market development could you foresee in the last years and ongoing? I show you examples in a moment, so you see what I'm talking about. Transport cost is important. Certain countries have an advantage exporting into Europe because of transport costs. Then you go to the next level. Here you have this is another kind of selection criteria. Then you think about the product requirements. What about the legal requirements, safety and health issues, the warranties, packaging, labeling, product safety requirements? It's the third level of concerns you're going in. And then you focus. Now you have taken out certain countries, or you have prioritized certain countries. Now you have your last one. And this is not the first one. In many cases, companies consider this as a first one, but I don't think it's correct. You should go a very logic way, like in a funnel, from the more general right down to the more focused. Best fit for export product. What is the best fit for your export products? Easy access, language, culture, best comparable prices, margins, best suitable channels for you, and altogether a best possible cost-benefit ratio. All these, of course, are complex questions, and you need to know how to go about it. That requires a little bit information, beforehand. You think about, for example, concerns of packaging. For example, how do I find out a cost-benefit ratio? What about finding out the best suitable channel? Or what about the competitive situation? There is many issues involved, but at one stage you have to start with something. Now, the second poll, I would like to ask you another question. Alberto.
Yes. Let me launch a poll. So it's on the screen now, Wolfgang?
Yep.
Wolfgang would like to comment, or?
Well, I don't see the result yet.
All right. So this particular question is to know which area, sector it's intended for export. We see that most participants are answering already the question. We just give a little bit more time for participants to conclude sending their answers, so we can close the poll and share the results with everybody. Okay, I will end the poll now and keep back to you, Wolfgang.
Thank you very much, Alberto. Right. Well, this is a good selection of everything, basically, on the food and fish product sector. On the authors, well, I can't say, but I assume there are other products which may be not in this list. But well, in our presentation here, I will have a general approach, and then I will later on make an example on a specific one, which is the cashew nut. And yeah, thank you very much. That's appreciated.
So, well, back to you.
Thanks. Well, here we have a first example. You know, on this scan process I just showed you, the very left we have market macro data. These are some examples of links. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, we are sending you the presentation later on, where you can access all these links on your computer. This helps you, of course, to get into it. And here you have always also the links printed again, so you can kind of cut and paste them into your computer, actually. Well, these are different selected websites, you know, with macro trade data and statistics. And in some instances also on very specific market briefs, for example, the healthy food trends or organic foods. I'll show you, for example, just one example here. This is a website which is dealing with EU imports of organic agri-food products in 2020. So you see here all kind of interesting links, you know, destinations, you know, products, and so on and so forth. And here I go further, you know, then you can go into the market analysis and briefs, you know, or you get all kind of briefs. This was just one example, the brief on the organic food sector. And you see there are many others listed in the EU website, you know. So you can just select what you like, find out here. There are reports available. There's background data available. I mean, there's massive information you can choose from. Right. Well, EU policy, if you want to read more about the EU policy on the EPA, for example, take this one. This is showing you the some information on the SADC EPA, more issues, you know, just explanations, trade issues, and trade statistics, and so on. So another huge source of information. As you go on, I mean, I'm not going into everything here now, but you see this is something you will choose for your macro data resource analysis. Right.
Sorry, Wolfgang, sorry for the interruption. Maybe just to remember all attendees or participants that we will share a copy of this presentation, so they could go into with more time into detail of in each and every one of the links that you have just mentioned and you have just presented to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, here is a market research kind of process. Well, what is it about? It is about systematic gathering of market information. It's the proper analysis for the defining of a successful export marketing strategy. It is a management responsibility to invest the time and efforts. This is always management level. And there is a very crucial issue here. For taking informed decisions, the management has to have as much as possible input on market realities. The range of information is available. And it will be necessary for you to take your time and to choose from the different documents and sources, and for taking an informed decision. So it's decision taking is based on the broad export information. It has impact to your business results, for example, in terms of performance, terms of sales, profitability. Well, now this is about the first thing you think about export. I'm going to a marketplace, correct? The simplest thought. Let's go for the next poll, Alberto. It's about whether you are already exporting.
Sure. Let me launch the poll, number 3. This is, thank you, Wolfgang. This is for the audience. This helps us to understand if your company is already exporting, and if they're doing so, if these activities are on the regional or international level, or only regional, or if you're just starting to export to any international markets. We've seen that you're receiving quite some answers now. Good, we're just going to give a little bit more time for attendees to answer the poll. Okay. Good. Good, I see you stop. So I will stop the poll now, Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Share the results. So.
Interesting. So you are 50% of the participants are exporting regional and international already. 36 are in the regional export, and international only 14%. So that's a good selection of companies. 50% of you are seemingly interested to start exporting, and only 14% are international. So there is a huge potential for you now to think about EU, for example. No? So I think we may have some interesting information for you now. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Back to you, Wolfgang.
Yeah, thanks. Well, you see here a very simple one. And this, again, is something which I hear from many exporters. Well, I want to export to a country, so I'm going to export to the Netherlands, for example. This is very unfocused and very unspecific in a way. How would you communicate your products and services to a market if you don't know specifics of the clients? This was, I call it the old paradigm. That was 20 years ago or more. Then over the last 15, 20 years, things became more complex and more specific. As you can see here, you are now talking about a market, but specific customers. You talk about, let's say, 3-4 customers in one market, but you have to consider specific benefits for these 3 and 4 clients, or customers. In other words, it's a bit more complex for you, but at the end, you will gain market share because you are trying to make a specific effort to satisfy the client's specific request. So don't just think about the market as such. Think about your specific customer requirements, and only then you can communicate your solution and benefits to the clients. That's what they pay for. Right. Now, this is a bit provocative here, but frankly speaking, it is a bit true. And I talked with many exporters and importers in many sectors. Now, this is not only the food sector, but there are certain similar issues involved here. It's about a combination of product and product environment services. A lot of people just say my product is very good and I'm the cheapest on the market. This is not a good argument. There's always someone cheaper and someone better. And what is better? Better maybe is not the issue of having a specific fruit. That specific mango fruit or the specific cashew nut might be very similar to the mango from other countries in Africa or the cashew from Vietnam. At the end, of course, it's a price issue, but also a service issue. You can see here, that's called Pareto. That's the Pareto Rule, Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule to say. I've never heard about it. It states that for many phenomena, 80% of the result comes from 20% of the effort. The principle has been named after Vilfredo Pareto, an Italian economist, back in 1895. He noticed that about 80% of Italy's land belonged to 20% of the country's population. Now you will ask, now what does it have to do with me? Interesting enough, that concept is used in multiple cases and opportunities across the business world. And it has a lot of interesting kind of truth to say, and also in our export. For example, taxation, 80% of the tax money comes from about 20% of the society, or project management, 80% of the effects result from 20% of the effort. And now I come to the point. In business, 80% of the income from 20% of their customers. This already is a truth for your selection of customers. And in this case, don't mind if it's 70-30 or 60-40, but more or less the ratio. The product environment is everything but the product. It's not the physical product, but it's the packaging, it's the labeling, it's the quality, the certification, your communication to the clients, anything which relates to providing a specific advantage to your importer in Europe, for example. The physical products is the basic thing, The physical products is the basis of your business, and many others have the same product. Where you can differentiate is the product environment, basically. So the product environment, I consider roughly, let's call it 80% of the effects at 20% of the costs. The product is your most costly thing. But what you can do here is not that costly, but it requires effort, of course, but it has a specific value to the client. The physical product could be 20% of the effects and 80% of the costs. Call it 40, 60, it doesn't matter. But just to tell you, there is a huge issue related to non-product arguments. Product environment, I call it. And by saying this, the product environment is basically related to price, place, promotion. And in the promotional issues, there's the quality and all kind of other things, you know, and in the product, I'm sorry. All right. So it's a bit food for thought, I'd say. Now, let's go to the market analysis, export market analysis. What are the main issues you have to deal with? Take this as a checklist for you, and you find much more in the internet. You need to find out about market profile, the market characteristics for the products, growth rates, potential markets, trends, price segments, and so on. There is a competitive profile. You need to know about competitors' landscape, distribution methods, your own competitive edge. What is my advantage? What about the distribution profile? You know, what kind of distribution channels you have, what kind of methods you have to apply for the specific channels. Is what kind of business-to-business contacts, you know? What are the differentiating costs in the different channels? What is your best fit? And finally, the country regulations, and I showed you that in the beginning. What are the transport costs, storage issues? Is there a way of storing in the country if it's needed? Packaging and labeling regulations, and so on and so forth. So this is a shortcut on what you need to get, what you need to have kind of written down and documented before taking an informed decision. Now let me show you a few tools here. Well, this, for example, is a market research and information tool. In the National Trade Center in Geneva, the UN organization, is very, very worthwhile to deal with. They have a huge amount of information for exporters. Like, for example, market analysis tools, market information. They have a huge library. They have e-learning. Let me just go in the website and just to show you quickly. Let's see, can I? So they, you know, they have, let me just go here, sectors, food and, agri and food and agribusiness, manufactured goods, trades and services, and environmental exports. Here they are very strong in organic product information, biodiversity, and so on. They have market information tools, as I already mentioned, market analysis tools, statistics, tariffs, and so on, and a huge amount of publications. So you can see, I mean, go into this and you'll find really lots of information here for your export preparation. Right. Also interesting, the trade map, where you can choose different products, and it prints you out the different export countries, you know, and the main countries, which region it goes, you know. You can select your specific keyword or product code, and at the end you get a good output here. You know, this is export. Just for example, on say, I can't, just doesn't load. Anyway, we come to that again with an example, so I can show you the example actually. So the trade map is something very worthwhile actually. You should sign up. It's cost-free, free of charge. When you sign up to ITC, you have access to a huge amount of information. Well, another interesting tool, source of tools, is the the market research and information tools from CBI. This is a part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Netherlands, and they are really good. I mean, you can find, you can see a huge amount of sectors, and under these sectors you find many information and market studies and analysis and trend studies and so on and so forth, or specific information on what you need to consider when you want to export to Europe, for example, market information, import opportunities, and so on. At this point, I would like to start the another poll. Alberto?
Yes. Poll number 4, Wolfgang?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, launching now?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
It's about whether you have already done your own market analysis. That would be interesting to hear.
Good. Just giving a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will end the poll now and share the results with you,
okay,
everybody.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, I think you are the right target group for our presentation today. Well, maybe the 25% of having already done market research will get some additional information. I wish I can help you on this. And well, 38% have not done this before. So this is totally new land. This is interesting for you to go through the presentation later on and probably try the concepts I'm showing you. And the 38% don't know how to do it. Well, again, this is why we are helping you and having this session today. I hope you have some benefits. Thank you very much, Alberto.
You're very welcome. Back to you, Wolfgang.
Thank you. Right. As you can see here, that's another overview of selected primary information sources from the CBI. Let me go into the CBI website. So you can see here market research. For example, I put in here, putting in here, for example, essential oils as an example. Essential oils. Right, let's see what it says. Market research. Well, the internet is slow. Yeah, okay. So you can see here, essential oils for food to Europe, essential oils, fragrances to Europe, European market potential for essential oils, aromatherapy, European market potential for olive oils, not for you, but essential oils, again, market potential. So there is a huge amount of studies here, market analysis, which you can take free of charge, and all kind of sectors. I mean, they almost have all sectors covered, which are interesting for your specific export products, as you can see here, an overall selection. It's a lot on food, actually. Right, and CBI is the second important address I want to provide to you for your analysis. Right. Here is some more market research and information tools, which are give you an overview of selected primary information. As you can see here, I mean, the EU trade website is also very broad on informations. They show you anything about tariffs and all the other legal issues we need to be concerned about. No? And there is a huge amount of information available here as well. On the Trade EU website here are other sorts of informations, you know. So this is the access to markets link. This provides you, you know, huge amounts of information on trade barriers and statistics, product requirements, standards, the whole list of standards you need to have in line with your specific food products, descriptive notes, you know, and so on and so forth. So that's another site you would probably certainly go to when you want to export to Europe. Right. Well, here is another source which is related to the fishery sector. Some of you are from the agriculture and fishery sectors. The EUMOFA, European Market Observatory for Fisheries and Aquaculture Products. On this one, you get market overview, you get data and studies and reports on the fishery sector. And here's the link again. So you would like, if you would like to go into that, you know. It's also in Portuguese, as you can see here. The EUMOFA site is in Portuguese as well, which helps you even more. Right. So you can see information, massive information on the market. It's just up to you to go for it, to start a very structured research, you know, from general to specific, and then you take an informed decision. Right. Let's go for the next poll, Alberto.
Sure. So this will be the poll number 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for poll number 5, you should be able to see it on your screen. Mm-hmm. Now, poll number 5 is: have you visited international markets, places to find clients? Mm-hmm. First option is yes, European Union markets. Second option is yes, also other international markets, or definitely not yet visited any international marketplaces to find customers outside Mozambique. So this information will help us a lot to understand and also to inform the discussion. We're just giving a little bit of time for everybody to answer. And since we see now we have received a lot of answers, so we will stop now the poll and share the results with everybody.
Well, not many. 7% visited, 2 out of 28 visited EU markets personally already. Usually that's the larger companies, but well, there might be interesting aspects to it for others as well. Often donors, for example, or institutions co-finance or support these market visits together with the chamber or other entities, you know. This happens in many places, and I'm sure it's happened already in Mozambique as well, and it will happen at one instance or another in the future, very likely. Most of you have visited other international markets. Now, I don't have a question here which ones, and I can find out with you, but it might be Asia, probably, most likely, because regional would be Africa, and 50% have not done that, actually. Well, thank you very much, Alberto. Consider this
You're
as
welcome.
Consider this as, well, I wouldn't say a must, but I would say a very useful additional tool of being even better informed when you go to 2 or 3 specific countries in the EU, for example, and you understand how people buy in the countries. You know, for example, you can see this here. This is kind of complicated. Now you can see it. Cashew nuts, from my country here. Yeah, that's the largest provider in Germany, Aldi, Lidl, a huge supermarket chain. Well, if you see these things in the market, then you know that you can see the prices, for example. You can see the standards. You can see what are the selections in many of these food products. It gives you additional information. You can combine your market visits with business-to-business meetings. You know, there's options which help you to be on the safe side when you take informed decisions again. Well, here are again many market information and service links. Go to the ITC export potential here of Mozambique. You know, I mean, they show the export potential. In this case, we see here the cashew, for example, untapped potential 82 million, export potential is 115, and actual exports only 51. So there's a huge untapped potential in the market. You can see the dark and the brighter colors here. This shows the potential and the actual exports. Sesame, you know, same thing, you know, still a lot of untapped potential. Here it is a bit different. There's even only 19% realized. On bananas, fresh or dried, we agreed that in some way it is difficult to export fresh banana to Europe because there are other countries doing it quicker on the transport issue. But think about processed products. I mean, that's why you want to have this information, you know, and so on. Right. Go for another example here. Another information from CBI, for example, is about moringa products, something very interesting in Europe. You know, they provide you interesting information on market potential. They even tell you how long it takes you to read, so you can brew your coffee in the meantime. And they talk about market entry issues, you know, for these specific products. So yeah, there is huge information for a lot of interesting basic products or processed products you can choose from. Well, another important issue are related to market visits, trade fairs. Well, this is something very specific and I think very worthwhile. I'm not talking about trade fair participation. This is something which comes later, at a later stage. You know, first go to the specific market and visit the trade fairs to see how it functions, how it works. Because participations are costly. Either you have a country stand, which they have often, you know, in, for example, the Green Week in Berlin, or even the Biofach in both in Germany, in Nuremberg, or the Anuga, or Food Expo in Greece. You know, there are many others. The Vivanes in Vivanes, I think it's in Spain, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you can see here, Green Week, 1,800 international exhibitors. Anuga, one of the largest, the key fair of food products in the world, at least in Europe, let's say in Europe. 7,900 international exhibitors only. That's huge. The Food Expo in Greece, 1,350. Well, unfortunately, I've just heard that the Anuga now, no, it's Green Week, sorry, the Green Week, Grüne Woche, is now being cancelled again due to this, due to the coronavirus. They originally planned to have the trade fair based on we call it the G2, which means you have to provide a vaccination proof and then you can enter. But due to the current very strong fifth wave in Germany, we have increasing restrictions here, and but this is not going to happen hopefully next year again. So just consider this always in January. Anuga is always in October. Vivanes is always in February. So you can even combine two if you like and have a little holiday as well if you want. Biofach is interesting. Let's go in here. This is the world leading trade fair for organic food, you know. So the organic food in all kind of products. Well, it's in German. There must be some English as well. I'm just showing you. That's something which is really worthwhile to see. This a lot of exhibitors from the different countries, all kind of different foods. So the world of biofood, to say, is meeting in this trade fair in February. I'm also going and have a look and see who is there at the end. Always interesting products and talks to different people, right? And so on. You just choose. I mean, take the Food Expo, for example, in March. This is the leading food fair in Southern Europe, for example, you know. So they also have 1,300 international exhibitors. So you can see you can choose from a number of different trade fairs. Right, there's another one in Tutto Food in Italy here. This is also a lot of international exhibitors in May. And another one which is part of the leading group of European trade fairs, besides the Anuga, is the CIAL in France, in Paris. It's a biannual trade fair every 2 years in October. And it also has visitors and exhibitors from over 200 countries. So this is where the world of food meets, actually. And if you go to these fairs, you are getting a huge amount of input from all kinds of different directions, from the target countries, from competitors, about standards, about processing issues, like what kind of processed food is in favor right now in the European market. How is the labeling? How is the packaging? What do I need to consider when I make my pricing? You know, I mean, information on all levels, basically. And you can make some contacts as well, of course. But this is not if you're not an exhibitor, you may not meet very many buyers, to say. You can just try to find some, but usually these people want to sell, you know. But by going to the fairs and the stands and observe, you see how the buyer and seller communication is going, you know. What is being dealt with, you know. Yeah, so I believe it's very useful. Right. Then we have another question to you on the poll. Our last one. Alberto?
And yes, I'm trying to open it.
Thank you.
Should be there now. So good.
It's about whether you have already visited international trade fairs. Mm-hmm. Simple question.
But I think in particular here, the stress is an European Union-based food sector trade fairs, right?
That's right.
So the first option is yes in the European Union. The second option is yes also in other international marketplaces. The third option is no. I haven't participated yet in any international European Union-based trade fairs. So we have receiving quite a lot of answers now. give just a couple more seconds to allow participants to conclude, and we will stop now the poll. Okay, so ending the poll now and sharing the results. So back to you, Wolfgang.
Thank you. More than 30% have been visiting trade fairs. This is very, very positive. Yep. International trade fairs. And those 69%, of course, consider the costs and everything, but if you have a chance to participate in one of these trips, or if you are able to finance one yourself, maybe in the beginning of the year, January, February, March are most of them. The other part is in October. You get the most important information on trends and everything. This is where the business happens, actually. This is where the business happens. This is where you can learn most. That's a promise, almost. Right, thank you very much.
Right, one quick comment from our side, Wolfgang, if you allow me. Just
sure.
to remind the audience that the project will be organizing such an event in the upcoming year. So we just kindly ask everybody to follow us on social media, to constantly visit the Promuove Comercio website. We will give more details at the beginning of next year on when and how this event will take place. So with this slow, short comment, I'll get back to you again, Wolfgang. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Alvaro. Well, here is just to closing the business on trade fairs. There are two valid links here from the Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO. Interesting enough, they have the best overview about the European trade fairs I have found. For the food sector. Of course, you have it on the EU website as well, but for the specific purpose. And there is some information on the food processing industries trade shows in Europe as well. Very interesting on this one, Events I. So you have enough sources here. You can choose and you can make your evaluation of what is suitable for you and not. No. Right. Let's come to another point. This is from Anuga. I remember this was the one of the three leading food trade fairs, a huge one, Anuga, and they have presented the current 7 food trends according to them, which is alternative meat proteins, which is free from health, free from. That means all kind of unwanted ingredients and health foods, sustainably produced or packaged, plant-based proteins or foods, clean label, convenience in snacking, and superfoods and ancient grains. Ancient grains you find a lot from South America, for example, from the Inca period, from the Inca time back, and it's these kind of things you have in our markets nowadays. And this is a little bit of an indication for you as well, especially when you go into the trade fairs. They have these themes to say, and they explain it further so that you find stands and suppliers and importers specifically for these areas. For example, on the clean label, less sugar, less artificial ingredients, instead more plant-based and natural aromas. That is how more and more consumers are imagining the future, the future offer of food will be for them. After the boom of organic products, which is of course still going on, the new trend now is moving in the direction of clean eating. So it's conscious, healthy diets are called for, So there's trends, which at the end are also kind of backtracking right to you as as the producer of the primary products, And it would be good to be informed about trends, because you may be, if you follow the trend and if you are able to promote a product according to trends to importers, they see that you are on top of the information, and the importers want to see that the exporters are well informed. This is an even business level between both parties, you know. Well, CL, this is French, you know, in Paris, the one I showed you, the trade fair, they consider typical key sectors in the global food industry. Meat, grocery products, fruit and vegetables, here we are. Organic and wellness, you're right into it. Beverages, not as much. Food processing, well, that's a bit more into the processing, also on more higher level, to say, on kind of consumer products. Ready meals, food to go, frozen products, dairy products, seafood. So I think here you specifically would be into the seafood, the fruits and vegetables, the organic and wellness. And also to see what is in the food to go. What are the ingredients they are using, you know? Food processing only also shows you what are the main trends as well, no? Right. ITC, again, I come to specific examples now. I'm run through quickly here, because it's just examples. You can choose them later on at your own, you know, at your own, with your own priorities and product groups and what else. The ITC trade map, example, nuts and grains. Example, this one here, no? Cashew nuts. First of all, when you go to the ITC trade map, define your export product according to the HS code. Well, these are examples. That's the 6-digit code. And the ITC trade map covers 220 countries and 5,300 products of the harmonized system HS. Well, in this case, I was just going for the 8131, which is fresh and dried cashew nuts in shell. No? Could go to other products as well, but just to provide you an example, because cashew is obviously a product which is well received in Europe. No? As you can see here, there's a trade map example. The let's say here we say the oh, what was it? Oh, I forgot. No, yeah, just a second. That's the 8131. Yeah, 8131. Fresh and dried cashew nuts. Here we are. And we go here to, for example, to just a second. Mozambique. Well, then you see, for example, here, importing markets. And you see the exporting country Mozambique on that specific product. You know, you can see here the main countries they are exported to, and you can see the share of imported markets in 2020, then you can go into more information, for example, on the different partner regions. So you could go into the different other countries, receiving countries here, for example, export countries, that will show the numbers. and it will provide more information than you can even choose from. Yes, goes and it has trade indicators. You know, you can see the different lists for the fresh and dried cashew products. The world is exported 44 million US dollar. You see the different countries here. The main country is Vietnam and India, well, South Africa, and then it goes further down, you know, into other. Maybe you can find here. Mozambique. Let's see. Well, it takes a bit too long now. As you can see, I just show you there's a whole lot of information in terms of interesting trade data where you can choose from. And at the end, the only thing you need to know is your HS code, and then you have this information available. Well, this I showed you before. This is what I'm doing here right now. This is the information. It says Germany's most sold brand, for example. It shows here some specific quality marks. It indicates vegan. You know, I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. No meat and all these things. It shows on the back side, on the other side, it shows the different food ingredients, you know, the packaging indications, and this is the company. It would even be a contact for those of you exporting. Solent company in Germany. I mean, you can see the address when you get the the presentation. So that's how it looks like. Right. Now, in this case, once again, what I just showed you on this graph, you know, directly in the internet, this is what you can get, you know. It shows Mozambique, and it shows the other countries which are somehow involved in the trade of cashew nuts. And I won't go in the link again, but you can go into it again and you can check it again on your own actually. Mozambique, fresh and dried cashew, shelled, and so on. The same information in the same link actually on the CPI. Sorry, the same link. You find on the CPI, you find the different main export countries. You know, it shows the different sales data between 2015 and 2019. You know, Germany was the main importer of cashew in this case. Goes down to Spain. So you would choose from those and say what suits you best. You know, when you go into the link, you already even see the percentages and the different values. You know, you can choose from. It shows that on the long run there is a stable growth on cashew in this case, and the growth is likely to be driven by changes in the consumption patterns of European consumers. You know, compare market size and export potential. Now, also taken from the ITC trade map, you can see the export from Mozambique of fresh and dried cashew nuts, US, of course, and there is here most of the European countries which are importing, except the UAE. And you can see here Netherlands and Germany are the largest ones. And if you just keep the mouse on top of the circle, then you get more information on quantity, on percentages, and so on and so forth. If you just blow it out a little bit, you see the other countries as well. There's Russian Federation, Portugal as well. You know, even Angola here. Even India is importing, interesting enough. Well, and then you see information here, Netherlands. The share of Netherlands in Mozambique's exports totally 2.69%. The annual growth of Netherlands imports is negative in this last year. And so you can see the different ratios, you know, which also help you to become informed. You know? Right. Another option you can choose from, the trade map again, find about importers and trade channels, because you will ask the question, well, now I know where to export, but how do I know what I'm going to whom I'm going to export? I mean, this is correct. So you need to have a way of finding at least a first approach to buyers. And on the trade map, you have, on the trade map, you have for all kind of different products, you have information on importing companies, you know. So a lot of are listed in the trade map. Give you an example here. There is the Dutch website, which deals with the trade of dried fruits and nuts, spices, and related products. Unfortunately, the website is only in Dutch. That's a disadvantage. But maybe you can choose. You can find some friends and colleagues who can help you on that. They provide information on the products and on the customers. Almost all the countries have something similar in another way or one or another way. You know, I'll show you another one, which is in my country, in Germany. It's the largest you get in Germany. It's a buyer's catalog. As you can see here, this is cashew nuts. There's about 84 suppliers. You know, this is here, cashew nuts. So all these are suppliers of cashew nuts in Germany. In other words, they are buying cashew nuts from different countries. And these are huge amount of companies, you know, you can choose from. You go to their websites to get more company details, you know, and you can choose from. You can go in their company details and the contacts and everything, you know. Right. So that's a good one here to help you on the buyer's catalog. Well, the buyer's catalog has 620,000 business-to-business suppliers listed in 64 industries, 9 million products, and 5 million. Yes, what does it say here? It's covered. 5 million. Oh. 5 million product videos and photos, and 1.4 million buyers per month. You can see it's a huge network. You can find this for a number of countries in Europe when you go into it. Well, another buyer's contact here. This is an information from buyer websites. You know, the buyers' websites are a very interesting source as well. There's, for example, this one, which is a South African website. They present it very well. I was quite impressed to see how they present their products on seed essentials, pure elements, and organic oil range. Very nice. This could be something you probably think about as well, the larger companies at least, or even from the chamber or from other entities trying to promote a product in a very professional way to the European markets, you know, having members participating. There's many ways of doing this. Or this one here is a purchasing company for beauty oils in Germany, Aurum oils. Okay, yeah. So they basically are the 3 beauty oils from Africa. That's their main line, you know. No? And then you can go into details. What is it about? Marula, Baobab, and the other one is Mongongo. I've never heard about Mongongo. Maybe probably it's not your oil specific, but you can see in different buyers specialize in different areas. So they buy the raw material and they process it and or refine it, better says. They refine it and put it into the right packaging style. No? Right. Well, some more EU market research data on cashew. I won't go into the links now, but I just show you. There is, for example, the health research database on the International Nut and Dried Fruit Council in Spain. They show interesting information on the nut and dried fruit issues, on the health concerns and contents and everything. Well, I'm just showing you an example on nuts now. For the other product groups, you find similar issues and similar information in all these websites I've just shown you. Another one would be the 3 trade fairs, lead trade fairs on cashew I already showed you. The CIAL, Anuga, and the Biofach. France, Germany. Other products, very similar. And there is an interesting online 3S platform, they call it, Securing Sustainable Supply, which is specifically talking about connecting supply chains. This is in Netherlands, actually. Also an interesting resource for you to look at. Well, here is the most common mistakes. It's my almost coming to an end, but I have to show you some common mistakes as well, you know, when you go into the global marketing. And this is according to Harvard Business Review, so they are very well known and they have done the study in some places actually. And these mistakes may be significant to companies of all different levels and complexity. Often not specifying countries sufficient. I told you a few times, I'm exporting to the EU. Let's see how it works out. No, you have to go through that intensive exercise of reviewing the different countries. Not paying enough attention to internal company data means your own company. If you want to export, you have to be aware of the cash you need, basically. You need to invest into something. You have to be able to provide certified quality, high-level quality products. You have to be able to probably even travel to a market if you are a larger company trying to improve the state of kind of communications and find out more. You want to have a suitable price level. You have to control your costs. You have to understand what is your lowest cost price to say. What are your possible margins? And all these things are your internal issues you have to be aware of. Many do not adopt sales and marketing channels. You know, I mean, there are many channels out there and you have to take a selection. You have to think about what channel is the right channel for me. Is it the importer? Is it the wholesaler? Is it the large retailer? There are specific issues concerning these 3 levels of importing entities. The retailers maybe has the highest price you can get. Large retailers, it's not a small retailer. This is like Aldi here in Europe or others which have a huge amount of products every day in all kind of many dozens, even hundreds of shops across Europe, you know. Not adapting the product offering to the requirements. This is why I'm asking you for providing something which is added value to the client. You want to adapt your product offering according to the specific need of the client. That relates to packaging, to quality, to the labeling, to the way how you ship the material, whether they have to repackage afterward in their country. I heard from one from one very well-known importer in Europe, in Germany, actually on essential oils, and he was very upset with the exporter from a Central African country because they did not follow the assigned packaging, ruling. How many bottles in how many bags and all these kind of things. So he was upset because he said, well, it costs me a lot of money to do the repacking when it comes to the port, to the container in my factory, and this costs money and this costs my profit. So they have to follow the rules. That's why you have to be in touch with them and follow the rules. What they like you to do, you have to do, and calculate as well. I mean, you have to calculate the costs. Not letting local teams or partners lead the way. If you have strong ties into a country, try to find partners in the country. Even if you are a larger one, have a sales representative or something for the larger companies. Because these people know exactly what is going on in the specific country. They know it much better than you. So let them do the job if you can. No. Not thinking through the global logistics. The logistics are a key cost factor for competing countries. What is easier, to bring a product from Brazil to Europe, or bring a product from Vietnam to Europe, or from Mozambique to Europe? So there are different issues involved in terms of costs of transport, of time frames of transports, and all this. This you have to compare as well. These are competitive advantages to the clients, and you have to balance it. Right. If you want to read more, you can see the link on top from the Harvard Business Review. Right. And this is my final slide for you now. At the end, and that's your final concern. Sorry, I have to go back here. Now the mouse is back. You have to have an export plan. I went through a few websites promoting or providing export plan templates. I found a very good one at the Australian government. I just selected it because I liked it. It's about these headlines here. You have to write up to kind of document your own exporting business, your financial resource, and so on. You have to document why you came to that specific target markets. I mean, we went through all these options now. Your positioning, your competitors, your distribution methods, your sales goals. You have to document your product. What kind of products? What kind of process products? At what stage? What is required change to the product as you go after you have done the market research? What is your production capacity? How much can you offer to the client? In what period of time? Your pricing strategy, your market entry strategy, your promotional strategy. Only then. This is first, promotion is least. And your action plan. You come to what are you going to do now? How do you start? What is next? And your management review and follow up. Don't forget this. This is the monitoring part, the sales and marketing monitoring part. You want to review whether your activities, your actions have been successful, or whether you have to change something, whether you have to update something. So that's a management concern, and don't forget about it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was my presentation. I hope it was useful to you. Sorry for that, I was 10 minutes later, but I wanted to open some of the links for you as well, so you could see it in live. Take the many other recommended links I provided to you at home on your screen and try it out and make a plan how you approach your market assessment and analysis. Think about these two steps. Think about first assessing and finding data, and then analyzing and taking an informed decision. Thank you very much, and good luck and success. Back to you,
Wolfgang. Thank you very much for all this very comprehensive and insightful presentation. We see also, thank you from the Chamber of Commerce, who are also welcoming the information you have just provided. Now, I would like to hand over to Dr. Alvaro Massinga, who will provide us with his closing remarks for this session. Dr. Alvaro, the floor is yours.
Muito obrigado, minhas senhoras e meus senhores. Termina este webinar sobre como implementar uma pesquisa de mercado para exportação. Quero reiterar os meus profundos agradecimentos aos nossos parceiros para esta sessão, nomeadamente a Promove e o IPEN, que tornaram possível este evento rico em conteúdo e partilha de importantes lições para nos equiparmos para a nossa inserção num mercado tão competitivo como o mercado europeu. Palavras de apreço e de gratidão ao Sr. Wolfgang pela sua alta performance e apresentação nesta webinar. Como Câmara de Comércio de Moçambique, fica-nos o desafio de continuarmos a trabalhar com os nossos no aprimoramento das suas técnicas de pesquisa no mercado, o que, para além de uma simples teoria, impõe-nos a necessidade de aliar o processo em curso e dirigido pela Câmara de Comércio de Moçambique de certificados de origem a uma outra componente importantíssima, que é a certificação da qualidade dos nossos produtos. Fomos também desafiados a desenvolver uma análise de mercado de exportação e definirmos prioridades dos produtos em que temos maior potencial e competitividade. Neste aspecto, propomos-nos a trabalhar com os nossos associados e parceiros, no sentido de habilitarmos a nossa equipe técnica com as necessárias ferramentas que permitam a melhor pesquisa de mercado para disponibilizar aos produtores informação essencial sobre os principais produtos e potenciais destinos no mercado europeu. Fica aqui o desafio aos nossos colaboradores para desenvolverem um banco de dados e uma plataforma específica sobre o potencial nacional e prováveis mercados, de forma a tornarmos a Câmara de Comércio num provedor e facilitador destes serviços aos nossos membros. Este mapeamento deverá servir para usarmos a Câmara de Comércio de Moçambique como um elo para o estabelecimento de pontes entre os produtores moçambicanos e o mercado europeu. Para tal, iremos nos empenhar em assegurar maior fluidez de diálogo interno e externo, de forma a tornarmos a Câmara de Comércio num agente de reforma do mercado e adoção de melhores práticas e favoráveis ao ambiente de negócios a nível interno, para tornarmos o nosso país, no seu todo, elegível para as diversas oportunidades de mercado. Assumimos o compromisso de, adicionalmente, promovermos diversos memorandos de entendimento com nossas congêneres europeias e outras, para servirmos de veículos de ligação e promoção de acordos comerciais que beneficiem os nossos produtores. Queremos que a Câmara de Comércio seja também fonte de informação potencial a nível nacional para os empreendedores europeus. Minhas senhoras e meus senhores, depois de uma tão eloquente exposição como a que nos foi feita pelo Sr. Wolfgang, nada mais nos resta senão renovarmos o nosso comprometimento em servirmos o mercado nacional em prol da internacionalização das nossas marcas, produtos e serviços. Colocamos-nos à disposição de todos os nossos parceiros e associados para assegurarmos o compromisso de facilitar o acesso dos nossos produtos a diversos mercados e providenciar o acesso necessário do apoio para a competitividade do nosso mercado. Uma vez mais, uma palavra de gratidão ao IPEN e à Promove. Como parceiros, estamos abertos a desenvolver mais iniciativas similares, e bem como as nossas empresas. Por uma Câmara abrangente, ativa e ética, o nosso muito obrigado por esta sessão.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alvaro Massinga, for your kind words and also for showing and highlighting path, the way forward for the Chamber of Commerce. And we, as a Promover Comercio, we were also really looking forward to enhance the collaboration ties with the institution that you represent. Now, we would like finally just to remind our audience that we have recording this session and that we make it available on our Promover Comercio website, together with a copy of the slides that have been presented today and also as previous sessions of the webinar series. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank you for your very active participation across the 4 events that we have had in this webinar series. We would like to encourage you to share the topics related to exports that you would like to see addressed in the next sessions by answering the survey that you will receive at the end of the event today via email. We are very much looking forward to accompanying you and your company on the path towards accessing the European Union market. So on behalf of the Promover Comercio team and the Chamber of Commerce of Mozambique, we wish you a very lovely afternoon. We are ready to close the session. Thank you. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado.